Hello folks, this is Azerial and the Destroyer. Today we're going to have a Diablo 3 patch 2.6.8 PTR test build with the Frenzy. Now this is early in the PTR, a lot of things are still subject to change. I believe that the set is actually going to get a buff. I'm not like a lot of the players that have massive amounts of time to play and have teams play with it, just farm Paragon. I do a lot of my play solo because of my hours, and I'm only Paragon 1338 on the PTR right now. So I don't have like 25,000 extra strength that a lot of the players who are Paragon 5,000 and higher have. So today we're going to be discussing, and then I'm going to go through a test run on a Greater Rift push of 115. I completed 115 with 11 seconds left in a non-prime map with a subpar Frenzy build. My Simplicity strength at the time was still around level 40. I have recently gotten it up to 100. I didn't want to do a video until I had all my gems at 100 plus. So we'll go through the set. It's a 6-piece set. It's called the Horde of the 90 Savages. I've spent enough blood shards on the PTR that I was able to pick up a full ancient set, almost prime in the stats, and this is non-seasonal. And I've saved a lot of items from my non-season characters so that I could have this set. I've been dreaming, waiting for a Frenzy build and set to come out, and they finally did it. It's only a million years later since Diablo 3's come out. I used to try a Legacy of Nightmares and a Legacy of Dreams Frenzy set, and it was fun, but it just didn't have the damage to back it up, and now, thankfully, it does. So, 1 second, just got a cough. So, what we're looking at here is boots, obviously, strength, vitality, all resist, movement speed if you can get it, so that you can throw more Paragon points into strength rather than into movement speed. Legs, obviously, strength, vitality. You want to roll perfect frenzy damage on it, 15%, because that's what this entire set is all about. It's all about the frenzy damage. Gloves, I would say the prime roll, you probably have to get a primal set, would be critical hit damage, critical hit chance, area damage, and cooldown. If you could get all 4 of those, and then just do a Cultus on, enchant 100 gem onto it for 500 extra strength, would be probably about the best, but it's like finding a unicorn out on the street. It's just not going to happen. Shoulders are the same thing. Strength, vitality, area damage, and if you can get cooldown on there as well, that would be amazing. The set doesn't rely upon cooldown, but having some cooldown on there to reduce the wait time on your Wrath of the Berserker would probably be the best. Now you've got 2 choices here in the gem, whether or not you're going for a mix of cooldown and area damage, or if you're just going area damage. If you're going area damage, then you're going to want to use a Amethyst in here. The higher your hit points, the bigger your Simplicity Strength secondary power is going to heal you. Right now I'm just under 800,000, so it tops me off pretty well. But I'm going for a mix of cooldown with focusing more into area damage. So strength, vitality, crit. Chest piece, you've got a couple options. You can go strength, vitality, bonus life. Now, I think the bonus life is better than reduced damage from elites, because if you're playing right and you're being smart, you're going to avoid the things that are going to catch you and lock you down and basically ruin your day. So that bonus life is going to increase your health point pools, and it's going to give you a bonus of your secondary power on your Simplicity Strength gem, which is every primary attack heals you for 4% of your maximum health. So the higher your health, the more the heal. Now we get into the support items for the build. The new one in this patch change is the Undisputed Champion. It used to only give Frenzy effect of every rune, but now it also increases Frenzy damage by between 300 and 400%. I got lucky here on the PTR with a belt that's rolled 391%. Strength, Vitality, all resist, and once again, Frenzy damage. Now you can get Strength, Vitality, bonus life, and then Frenzy damage. That would work well as well. Saved item from my non-seasonal. Strong Arm Bracers, Fire, because you're going to use the Fire rune for this. Strength, Vitality, critical hit chances at 5%, it's not bad. And it rolled a decent amount of enemies hit by knockback suffer 27% increased damage for 6 seconds. So you're going to get a synergy off of that with your Furious Charge, Merciless Assault. So this is a escape mechanic or an engage mechanic, depending upon how many enemies you're going to hit. The rune for this reduces the cooldown on the item by 2 seconds for every enemy hit. So if you can hit 10 enemies at once or 5 enemies at once, it's instantly going to reduce your cooldown, so you have it ready to go. Just in case you're caught in the middle of a massive frozen wave or explosive after enemies have died, or you're caught in arcane cutters and you're going to want to get out of there. So the next item, and let's go through the jewelry before we hit the weapons. This is a saved item from my non-seasonal. I've just got a weak Call to Sun enchanted on it. It's the Traveler's Pledge set. You're going to want to use this because when it comes down to having to move out of things, the set bonus is going to give you damage reduction as you move. And if you're able to find that one champion, or you're on the Rift Guardian, you're going to want to stand still. And as you stand still, your damage increases up to 100%. So you will definitely want this set. Prime stat rolls would be critical hit damage, critical hit chance, either fire damage or strength, or even cooldown reduction. You can always enchant strength onto something, so if you get a primal and it rolls with critical hit damage and critical hit chance with a socket, then roll that strength to cooldown or roll it to fire damage. Either one, or even area damage. I think area damage would be the prime choice. Just because of what this set does and the procs that this set gives. I've almost forgot. We should probably go over the set bonus here for this set. Now, the 2-piece set, double the effectiveness of shouts. Feared enemies take double damage. So, your shouts for this are Warcry, Veteran's Warning. It says it'll give you 30% dodge, and it'll increase your armor of all allies within 100 yards by 20% for 2 minutes. It will actually increase your armor by 40% and give you 60% dodge. That's a huge defensive boost. Just watch my toughness rise right now. It goes from 20 million toughness to effectively 64 million toughness. Now, once you've got the other damage reduction abilities rolling with this, you'll be at 1 billion plus toughness, which is awesome. Your next shout is Battle Rage, Bloodshed. Now, you should not need life on hit for this build. Anybody that tells you that you need life on hit for this build is sorely... They have no idea what they're talking about, honestly. You're going to be attacking so fast that the Simplicity Strength secondary power is just going to be topping you off faster than most enemies can kill you unless you're standing in a ground effect. So the secondary power on this one, so what it does is it increases your damage by 10% and your critical hit chance by 3% for 2 minutes. That effect is going to be doubled. It's actually going to increase your damage by 20% and give you 6% critical hit. You can watch my damage. Right now I'm at 1.9 million. We get some fury. We pop that. We go up to 2.6. It's not bad. Once all the attack speed modifiers and everything for the rest of the build are in there, you're going to be up around 7, 8, 9 million. Now the last one that I use is Threatening Shout, Falter. Now a lot of people are going to say, but the 2-piece for this set says that feared enemies take double damage. So why wouldn't you use the Terrify rune? Since enemies are severely demoralized, each enemy has a 100% chance to flee in fear for 3 seconds. Yeah, that's great. All enemies near you are feared, and they take 100% bonus damage. The problem is that now they're running away from you. And with this build, which I've found personally is my prime choice, you don't want enemies running away. You want them to stay around you. So, because you have to use charge, you can't use, where is it? Ground Stomp. So, in this build, you need the Wrath of the Berserker because it's a nice damage boost. You run across a bad, I use it as an oh shit button. Like, I've got 3 or 4 elite packs at the same time, or it just happens to be up when the Rift Guardian's there. Honestly, Rift Guardians are a joke. You really don't need to worry about them. As long as you've got 30 seconds on the clock, no matter what Greater Rift level you're on, it's going to die. So, when they're running away, the only move that you would have to pull them back would be Ground Stomp, where it smashes the ground, stunning all enemies within 14 yards for 4 seconds, and then the Wrenching Smash rune pulls all enemies from 24 yards towards you, and then stuns them. But you can't do that because you only have 6 choices. So what I like to use is the Falter rune. Now, with the 2-piece, Shout with Great Ferocity, reducing damage done by enemies within 25 yards by 20%. So that's actually going to reduce damage they deal by 40% for 15 seconds. Now the cooldown on this skill is 10 seconds. Any cooldown reduction you have will reduce that more. But the rune, Falter, enemies instead take 25% increased damage for 6 seconds. So you're losing the damage reduction, but you're gaining damage effect. So with the build that I run, I don't need that damage reduction. I need the bonus damage. So now they're going to be taking 50% bonus damage. All enemies within 25 yards. You're surrounded, you pop this, they all take 50% bonus. But now you're losing the fear. Well, a lot of people like to use the Burning Axe of Sancus for this because it has 20% bonus. It can have up to 20% bonus fire damage, and its proc is basically a Ignore Pain, where you take 50% less damage. What I like to use is the Echoing Fury. Now what's interesting about this is right above the orange text where it says, slaying enemies engulfs the wielder into a frenzy, I have a 10.4% chance to fear on hit. And with the 6-piece proc off of the set, which I'm going to be getting to, when it deals its area... Oh, sorry, no. Crap. With the pulled power in the cube, the Bastions Revered, when it stacks up, each additional hit, so Frenzy now stacks to 10 times, and hits an additional time per attack. Each additional hit will chain to any enemy within 15 yards, and the damage is split between all the affected enemies. Now when you hit with that Echoing Fury, that chance to fear is then chained to all nearby enemies that are hit with the power from the Bastions Revered. You could effectively fear your main target and 3 or 4 others. Now they're all going to be taking the 50% extra damage from Falter, and they're going to be taking the 100%, the double damage effect from your 2-piece. A lot more damage than just a fear, which you then have to manage and keep everybody around you, and it's a real pain in the ass. So we get into the 4-piece now. Each frenzy stack reduces damage taken by 5%. So how Frenzy works is swing for 220% weapon damage as fire. Frenzy attack speed increases by 15% for 4 seconds with each swing. This effect stacks up to 5 times. The rune I used for it is called Maniac. Each Frenzy effect also increases your damage by 2.5%. So with that by itself, it stacks up to 75% increased attack speed and 12.5% bonus damage. Now with the Bastions Revered, Frenzy now stacks up to 10 times. So now we're looking at 150% bonus damage with Frenzy and 25% bonus damage. So, and with it stacking to 10, we now get 5% damage reduction per stack. We're at 50% damage reduction. That's a good amount. Then we get to the 6-piece set. Frenzy deals 1,000% increased damage per stack. Stacks to 10, 10,000% damage increase. We get over to the other armor item that we have pulled. Depth Diggers. Primary skills. Now, Frenzy is a primary skill. Primary skills that generate resource deal 100% additional damage. So now you're doubling the damage with your Frenzy effect right there. The last power that I have pulled here is Unity Ring. It basically splits the damage between me and my little buddy here who's walking around. Solo play, I would always have the Unity rolling, or I would have in the cube a Band of Might, where casting Furious Charge, my escape, will reduce damage taken by 80%. So I'll show you the toughness once I use those two. I can't show you with the Frenzy effect up, because there's nobody to hit around. So I hit both of those. I'm at 324 million toughness. So that's what the 6-piece of this set does. So you have the Traveler's Pledge when you're standing still, increasing your damage done by 100%. You have your Depth Diggers, increasing the damage by another 100%. You have Frenzy, stacking to 10, increasing damage by 25%. You then have this other support item called the Oathkeeper. It's a one-handed mighty weapon for barbarians only, and its primary skills attack 50% faster and deal 200% increased damage. So now we have even more damage. Enemies that I hit with my charge, which are knocked back, suffer 27% bonus damage. It's really starting to stack up there. And the Undisputed Champion, another 391% bonus damage. You will be hitting for hundreds of billions, and if you hit a target long enough, you will be hitting for tens, even hundreds of trillions. Now, when I say long enough, that all comes from, now I have a primal Band of Might, so I'm going to be using that. I made a mistake. I rolled the strength to critical hit damage when I should have rolled the critical hit chance to critical hit damage, and kept the 650 strength on here, since the strength would have given me a bigger boost than the critical hit chance. My critical hit chance is already 46% right now, and when I activate my Battle Rage, I get another 6%, puts me up to 52%. So I made a mistake there. But what this ring does have is 20% area damage, and it reduces the duration of control impairing effects. So if I get feared, I get knocked away, I get frozen, I get slowed, this will reduce the duration by 40%, which is really nice. So it has the 20% area damage, which I'll get to in a second. We're just going to go through the gems right now. Bane of the Stricken. Each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by 1.9%. This doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're able to focus down a single gold champion enemy, or a single blue elite enemy, or a Rift Guardian, this, with how fast you're going to be attacking, the 50% attack speed, the 150% here, and the slaying enemies engulfs a wielder in a frenzy power from your Echoing Fury, it stacks 5 times as well. It's another 75% attack speed. It's insane how fast you're attacking. which is why the Bane of the Stricken stacks so fast. Now, its secondary power is gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. This is your Rift Guardian killer, when you can just focus down, ignore everything else, and just beat the crap out of an enemy. There's nothing it can do. It will eventually die, and it will die quickly. Greater Rift 110, Rift Guardian 10 seconds, no problem. 115, maybe 20 tops. Next gem we're going to be using is Bane of the Trapped. I've got mine at 115, rank 115. It increases the damage against enemies under the effects of control impairing effects, slows, stuns, knockbacks, things like that, by 49.5%. Secondary powers gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%. So there's your item, which is going to proc your slow right there. So that's a good amount of damage. One more point in there, give me 50% even. I might do that on the Greater Rift run I'm going to show you. Now the last, absolutely needed, don't put Pain Enhancer, don't put anything else, don't be like these other idiots that are out there streaming, showing you, oh, I wonder what gems I should use. It's called Simplicity Strength for a reason. It's simple. Figure it out. I have mine at rank 100 now. Increases the damage of your primary skills, because Frenzy is a primary, by another 75%. And hits with primary skills heal you by 4%. There is your recovery. There is a pair of bracers you can use. It's called the Bracers of Secheron. They are Van Bracers of Secheron, so it's going to be on the last page. Primary skills heal you for 6% of your missing life. Now, unless you're missing almost 100% of your life, you're not going to get any real healing out of this. I thought that they would put a damage modifier on it, causing you to have to use this bracer, but they didn't, so you don't have to use it. Just don't. It's pointless. You have Simplicity Strength. That's 4% of your total hit points with every swing. With how fast you're swinging, immortal, as long as you're not dead. Now, I've got life on hit on this, because that's how it rolled. Still, extra healing. If you've got 1,000,000 hit points, that's 4%, 40,000 plus 10, that's 50,000 every hit. With how fast you're swinging, never going to die unless you're standing in something really bad, at which point you should probably go play WoW because you're standing in the fire. Okay, now we've been through all the skills except for Wrath of the Berserker. Oh shit, gives 10% extra critical, 25% more attack speed, 20% more dodge, so when you have Veteran's Warning and Warcry up, that's going to give you 80% dodge and increases your movement speed with the rune, increases damage by another 50%. Basically, when you pop it, everything's going to die. Last 20 seconds, I'm sitting at 21% cooldown reduction. Not a ton, but with a 2-minute cooldown, it reduces it a fair amount. It's there for when I need it, basically. So I've got 20% bonus fire damage. I've got 30% bonus frenzy damage, more damage. I'm at 574% critical hit damage. At least 52% of the time, my critical hit chance is at 52%. So 52% of all attacks are going to be a crit. Every 1 out of 2. My attack speed off items increases my attack speed by 31%. Not bad, considering that I've got 50% here, I've got 175% on Frenzy, and then once I start killing enemies, I got another 75%. You easily hit the attack speed cap. There is an attack speed cap. Now, we were looking at the area damage. Now, a lot of people will go straight cooldown just so that you can keep Wrath of the Berserker up as long as possible. There is no way with this build in non-seasonal that you can keep it up. In seasonal, there is a way, but you need to, with the new seasonal buff, basically what you'll have is you will be wearing the Ring of Royal Grandeur. I have one right here, which reduces the amount of set items needed, so you can wear 5 rather than 6 to get your bonus, but you have to use that ring or the power. You will wear the depth diggers if you have a really good set. I do, but they're non-seasonal. And then you will cube in here Messersmith's Reaver. Now, Messersmith's Reaver, I have one bold right here. Reduce the remaining cooldown on one of your skills by 1 second when you slay an enemy. With how many enemies you're going to be killing and how fast you're going to be killing with this set, that's the only way I see if you go full cooldown and you use Boonable Kathos to reduce the cooldown of Wrath of Berserker. That's the only way I see you being able to keep Wrath of Berserker up. But you need to basically either gimp your damage or you're gimping your defense. So this is just solo push. If you were doing group play, I would actually swap out, put the Band of Might power back in here, use a Ring of Royal Grandeur, and I would use the Oghild's 2-piece set, which will then give me the 3. Reduces damage taken by 15% and increase damage dealt by 2% with the 2-piece. And the 3-piece reduces damage from elites by 30% and increase damage against elites by 30%. If you've got a heal group monk and you've got another Z DPS and another damage dealer in there that can do AoE damage and work as a pretty good Rift Guardian killer, I would go for that. Using these rather than the Unity, I feel I've even had trouble. I've died in 110 solo, whereas if I use the Band of Might and the Unity, 110s are a joke. I don't die. So, but in a group play, you don't want to use the Unity because you won't have your follower out. He'll disappear. I think I've gone through everything. Paragon. I'm not going to do what everybody else does and drop my Paragon down to as if I only had 800 Paragon. I'm going to show you what this build can do at 1338 with only... I've got 375 strength enchanted on one weapon, and I've got 450 on one ring, and I have 350 on my necklace. Nothing else has a Call to Sun enchanted on it. Try to figure out. Just stupid thoughts texting me. Nuts to them. Okay, so I think I've gone through pretty much everything. I keep all this stuff in my backpacks because I'm a pack rat. I save everything that I feel is good, and it comes in handy every now and then. Let me just make sure fully repaired, and we will go off on a 115. I'm going to complete the rift regardless, so I'm going to empower it. I don't care about the gold. I've got billions, and we're going to get a ton of gold back, so it kind of counter affects it. So, yeah, here we go. Yeah, what I forgot to go through was I have 146% area damage. So you want that area damage because you're attacking so fast. And it's not a race to kill the Rift Guardian, it's a race to get to the Rift Guardian. The faster you can get to the Rift Guardian, speed is very good on the pylon. The faster you can get to the Rift Guardian, the better, honestly. Because the Rift Guardian's going to die regardless. As long as you've got 30 seconds, it's going to die. So just try to gather up some groups. And how the area damage works is you have a 20% chance to deal 146% of your normal damage as area damage to all enemies within 10 yards. So if you're surrounded and you've got a ton of enemies around you like I do right now, with the Bastion's Revered weapon, which I have in the cube, proccing, and the area damage, you're dealing a massive amount of area damage. I've lost the champion here, but it doesn't matter. It's all going to die. We're pulling ahead on the timer. Doing better than I did in my last run. I didn't use falter back then, so this is going pretty smooth. Just need more enemies. Usually these maps are just surrounded. Alright, we got Wrath of the Berserker again, so Waller's good as long as you don't have stuff that you need to dodge on the ground. The green poison, not really a big deal. So, you see on the health bar there, I've got him focused. We're chasing him down. It's dropping pretty fast. As long as I can keep focusing him, he's going to die. Like, I'm up around trillion damage now on swings, and as soon as he gets down to 30%, he's going to die even faster. So, with that area damage, the more damage I deal to him, the more damage I'm dealing to all these other little punks that are surrounding him trying to help. So, you just got to keep spamming that threatening shout so you can keep that 50% damage boost up, and things will die. Where are all the enemies? Jeez. I know we're ahead, but this is silly. Just keep charging. If you don't need to save it for an escape, just keep using it so you've got it there as a damage boost because of the bracers. Anything you hit with it is going to take 27% extra damage. Now, those gold circles out of the ground are called circles of power. It's ring power from my follower. Anytime I kill, I get a circle on the ground. Now, if I stand in it, I get 80% bonus damage. So if you can work it where you've got... Oh, that's not good. We got Wrath of Berserker again in a second, and I'll find that champion and focus him. Now, these are arcane cutters. These are the ones where you kind of want to... You see how fast I dropped there. I wasn't hitting anything, and I was caught in the middle of them. So we're just going to swing. Oh, there's a gold circle. Stand in there. That's 80% more damage, and the area damage proccing everything. Ah, we got 2 elites. Nice. Might be a pylon around here, too. No pylon. That's fine. We're going to pull ahead on this. I just stand in that gold circle. Oh, it disappeared. Oh, we died there, but one of our passives, which I'll show you the passives after. I forgot to show them before. Saved our life. It's a cheat death. Oh, freeze. That's bad. No, don't stand in the... No, 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 no. Oh, no, we died. Crap, I really didn't want to die. Have a nice, clean run. So, we just got a guy over here. We're going to build our stacks back off of him. No, we're not going to... Run away a little bit and get these guys to follow us. The AI for these enemies always likes to stand right on top of Arcane Cutter, so when you charge into them, it really messes you up. There's Berserker's Wrath again. Okay, 1 elite down. Find the other champion. Pick those up. There he is. Might die here again, but don't care. Want him dead. There. That is out of the way, and we go about our business. 1 death, not terrible. Got some good enemies here. We'll kill them. You'll see entire groups just pop. They'll all go explode chain. That's from the area damage when it procs. Oh, yeah, there's the shield pylon. Exactly what we needed for that pack. I should have explored a little bit more. So we got a decent size pack here. Stand in that gold circle and let the damage proc. And they're toast. Hate this map. Hate it so much. But we've got the shield for another 30 seconds, so we're just going to stand here. Use a charge to knock stuff around. Keep him debuffed with the falter. Stand in the gold circle. Got about 15 seconds. You don't need to worry about swapping targets with the area damage. When it procs, it'll take out everything. Decent pack here. Just check over here. Sometimes there's elites. No elites, but a lot of guys. So they'll all come running over to me. We're not really gaining time on the timer with these guys, but we're not losing time either, trying to run around and hunt for elites. See? That's all the enemies just went pop and exploded together. Try to get all these guys grouped up. People will say, oh, you should be using Wrenching Smash or something like that, and you're not going full cooldown, so drop Berserker's Wrath, but Berserker's Wrath really helps. It's a no shit. Oh, we got a power pylon up there. And we got an elite right there, so we'll go grab the power. Power is a huge damage boost. Just watch him melt. Boom, toast. These guys are all grouped up, so we'll just stand here and kill them too. Yep, another elite pack, still got power. And power just dropped. Vortex, Desecrator, Thunderstorm, Electrified. The Electrified is actually pretty dangerous for this build because it only procs when you're hitting him. So you're hitting him so fast that you've got like a million little electric sparks, as you can see, going out. So the faster you attack, the more dangerous. So I just technically died there. My cheat life procced, or cheat death. But he's sub 30%. He should be dead soon. And he's dead. We're getting out of there. As long as I hit 5 enemies, it resets a cooldown. Ah, bloody hell. So we've got a bit of a cooldown there. We can dodge most of these guys. They won't kill us. Oh, jeez, it's way up there. So now we're basically just wasting time. Because I wasn't looking at the map. So, this area is usually the end of the map here. Usually a ton of enemies, so try to group them up. There. One of my followers' necklaces has a chance proc to pull in enemies, so, and then slow them, which is nice. And this is one of the worst maps possible. So we went from a prime map that had no enemies to an okay map to nothing. We've had, like, terrible, terrible pylons. A lot of people will fish to try to find, like, the best, but it's actually a fair amount of enemies here. That's not terrible. So we just charge around and knock them back and debuff them with the falter and let the area damage from the bastions revered and your own personal area damage destroy them. Big groups like this, they'll put you ahead in time, but it's mostly elites, if you can kill them fast enough. That one double elite pack with the arcane cutters really put me behind. But I'm doing far better than I was before. Hey look, arcane cutter. We're gonna probably ignore that until we get Wrath of Berserker up. Okay. There. Rift Guardian. And we got a gold circle. It's gone now, but we got some bonus damage out of it. Just gotta make sure you charge. Keep your damage reduction buff up. Keep Falter up. 800 billion. 1 trillion. 12 trillion. 13 trillion. 24 trillion. The damage just keeps building. Got frozen at a bad time there. And there we are. Rank 282 on the barbarian solo boards. Bunch of loot that doesn't matter. I'll throw a point at that. So now it's giving me 49.8. We got a 30% chance. Fail. 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 And whatever. Doesn't matter. These ones are already pretty high. Just the OCD that wants it at a nice even number. Okay. So we'll go over the passives, and then that's that. The passives for this build, which I neglected to show. Rampage. Because you are constantly killing, and strength is a huge damage modifier. Increase your strength by 1% for 8 seconds after killing or assisting in killing an enemy. This effect stacks up to 25 times. Which, 25,000 25% bonus strength. When you have roughly 15,000 is an extra 3,500, 3,250 strength. 3,500, yep. That's a lot of bonus damage. You can get an extra 3,000 if you're able to enchant all your gear with 100 gems for 500 strength each. But it just, the higher the Paragon level, the greater this stat becomes. You just keep getting stronger. It's so multiplicative that it's insane. It's like the Crusader one that increases your strength by, what is it? I can't remember, per gem. It's just crazy. Berserker Rage. Because you are using a primary, you will always be at full fury. You deal 25% additional damage while near maximum fury. Ruthless. A lot of people tend to stay away from this and will go with things like Brawler. But that works in the race to the Rift Guardian. I like to keep Ruthless because when enemies hit that 30%, which I could be hitting anything, I could be hitting a champion, I could be hitting a regular white enemy or a blue elite or Rift Guardian, once I hit that 30%, it's a huge damage boost. And with area damage, how it works, all attacks have a 20% chance to deal 146% of the damage to enemies within 10 yards. When that procs, it's just a huge pulse of damage to everything surrounding me, and enemies die. Especially with the Bastions Revered, where each additional hit from Frenzy will chain to enemies within 15 yards. So the harder I hit the main target, especially if it procs the fear off of the Echoing Fury, it's just huge area damage. So that's why you don't want Terrify on your Threatening Shout. You want Falter, because your weapon will be proccing the fear. And then the last passive talent, when you're working on Greater Rifts that high and you're pushing for higher, is Nerves of Steel. Fatal damage instead reduces you to 15% of your total life. For 3 seconds afterwards, you take 95% reduced damage and are immune to all control impairing effects. 1 minute cooldown. So you saw it proc many times there. When you're taking 95% reduced damage, your auto attacks from your Frenzy are attacking so fast that it'll give your Simplicity Strength chance to build you back to full. So it's kind of nice. I didn't see any primal beams off these when we picked them up, so we'll just go over quickly. And nothing useful there. Okay, guys. That's my Greater Rift push build for Diablo 2.6.1. First iteration of the PTR. No changes have been made yet. Hoping they buff it a little bit, because when you go to view the leaderboards, the top build still is the Whirlwind build. This guy's also got 6,000 Paragon, so for every 1,000 Paragon, that's an extra 5,000 Strength. This guy's roughly got 5,000 more Paragon than me, so he's sitting at 25,000 more Strength than me, which is just a huge modifier. And then if you click me, I'm down here at 282 in the top 1,000. So there are, let's see, the next. So the guy in front of me who's using the Frenzy build right here, he's using the same build. Charge, Falter, Frenzy, Berserker. He's using Mordic's Brace, which gives you every rune for the Wrath of the Berserker. I bet you he's got cooldown, and cooldown, and cooldown, and no cooldown there. Cooldown on the weapons, cooldown, and passive. Yeah. So he's going the cooldown build, but he's only done B-Tech, Greater Rift 115. He did it 12 seconds faster than me. And he's got an extra 2,000 Paragon, which is 10,000 more strength than me. And he did cooldown. If I had an extra 10,000 strength, I would be miles ahead of this guy. So, just to give you an example of the difference between cooldown versus area damage. It's not a race to kill the Rift Guardian, it's a race to get to the Rift Guardian. Well, folks, if you enjoyed and you made it all the way to the end of this video, please pop a share, pop a like, pop a subscribe, tell your friends. I still greatly enjoy Diablo 3. I lost a lot of my friends have stopped playing this. My ex and I used to play this. I'm really hoping that once my son's old enough, he's the destroyer, that he'll sit down and play with me if this game is still viable by then, but probably won't be with Diablo 4 coming out in a couple of years. Anyways, everyone have a great day and be safe out there. There are crazies out on the road. Bye.